Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
And we're back. You know, anyone who knows me and my wife knows that we are animal lovers. We have had 9 Yorkshire Terriers in the length of our marriage. Today we have 2, Mimi and Pee-wee, brother and sister. They're getting on in age, but they're still both healthy. We also have 2 cats, Lola and Oreo. And one of the things that I am proudest of in my entire political career is working with an organization called the White Coat Waste Project. This is a nonprofit that stands up against the federal government's abusive and inhumane scientific testing on dogs, cats, primates, and other animals. I worked with them pro bono, and I continue to do so because we had great success working with President Trump and Lara Trump, Congressman Matt Gaetz, and others. We were able to stop the Veterans Administration from conducting inhumane experiments on dogs. Following White Coat Project investigations, President Trump also shut down the government's largest cat lab, ended nicotine testing on monkeys, and his EPA announced they, at first time ever, plan to end all animal testing. I'm incredibly proud of the work that I have done with the White Coast Waste Project, and joining us now is their Senior Vice President for Advocacy and Public Policy to talk about not only what we have done, but what we are going to do. Justin Goodman, Vice President of the project, joins us now.
Roger, it's a pleasure and an honor. Thanks for having me.
As I said, there is nothing that I am prouder of than the work I have done with your group, and I stand ready to do more. I know you've been working to end the government's testing on dogs and other animals for many years. You've won awards from the American Association of Political Consultants for your effective winning grassroots and lobbying campaigns to expose and end this wasteful and cruel taxpayer-funded experiment regimen on helpless animals. And we accomplished so very much. Only days ago, the president's CIA finally admitted that a lab leak in Wuhan probably caused COVID. So you guys have been in the forefront of this entire issue of testing on animals from the beginning. Tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks, Roger. And yeah, again, thank you so much for your outstanding support and leadership over the years. We've scored so many huge, historic wins for animals and against government-funded animal testing during the first Trump administration. We are very excited to be working with you again to score even more wins for taxpayers and animals. But yeah, so back in April 2020, we were following the money to China because of another investigation we did, actually. We uncovered during Trump administration that the USDA was, this is all true, and it sounds crazy, but bear with me. The USDA, for over 40 years, was spending taxpayer dollars to send staff from its Beltway laboratory to China and other places and go to these disgusting wet markets, buy cat and dog meat, and then fly it back in their luggage to the United States and force feed cats kitten and puppy meat in cannibalism experiments. And this cost taxpayers $22 million. They killed 3,000 cats in this experiment. And we exposed it, and President Trump shut it down. And not only did he shut that lab down, he adopted out the cats. For the first time in USDA history, they adopted out cats, and 2 of them went to live with our president and founder, Anthony Bellotti. But that put us on the trail of this taxpayer funding for animal laboratories in foreign countries. And in early 2020, we discovered a grant that was given by Dr. Fauci to a nonprofit in New York called EcoHealth Alliance. And now we know, this is the notorious grant. They were funneling money to the Wuhan laboratory to soup up coronaviruses in a lab and then inject them into humanized mice and create superviruses that were more deadly to humans and more contagious to humans. And of course, now we know that that's probably where COVID broke out from. But in April 2020, we were the first to expose that. The story went viral. We worked with Congressman Matt Gaetz. He went on Tucker Carlson a couple days after our investigation broke, exposed the world to what happened in Wuhan and Fauci's funding for that laboratory. And of course, we now know the famous press conference where President Trump went on TV a few days after our investigation and famously cut the grant on national television. And this was the grant that now the CIA, the Department of Energy, the FBI, 7 in 10 Americans believe caused COVID and killed 1 million Americans and 20 million people around the world. And of course, White Coat Waste Project, President Trump, Matt Gaetz, we were all being called conspiracy theorists and racists at the time. And now the world has finally come around and seen the truth. And again, Trump's CIA just announced that they finally released their findings, saying they agree that a lab leak caused COVID. So we're happy that we're finally getting some answers and accountability.
I am sure you, as I, have seen these shocking photographs of experiments conducted by Dr. Fauci in which he took beagles, basically locked their heads into a cage where they had flesh-eating insects that could eat the dogs alive, their heads alive. What could possibly be the legitimate scientific value of these horrific experiments? Those photos are iconic, and that's probably the 2 things we're best known for are exposing the Fauci's funding for the Wuhan lab and exposing those photos of that dog lab back in early 2021 of those dogs with their heads locked in cages. That was actually for vaccine experimentation that was being conducted at a laboratory in Tunisia. And at the time, you and many people probably remember Fauci claimed that he did not fund that laboratory, and come to learn through our investigations and Freedom of Information Act lawsuits, he absolutely did fund it. And not only did he fund it, he coordinated, like he did with Wuhan, a cover-up where he circled the wagons, got his staff to make up stories and feed them to the Washington Post and other reporters who ran with this insane, baseless story that some researchers accidentally said they got funded by Fauci, but they didn't. There's, of course, we've got the receipts, and there's a paper trail from Fauci's NIAID to this laboratory, and he funded those exact experiments. And unfortunately, that was the tip of the iceberg. We've uncovered lots of Fauci-funded experiments, and even though he's gone from government, and this is why the work we're doing now together is so important, Roger, even though Fauci's gone from government, his disgusting legacy lives on, and we have dog labs where dogs are being, in the United States that he funded, where dogs are being infested with mutant ticks and being used in maximum pain experiments where they're denied all pain relief. Cats are being infected with COVID and all kinds of nightmares, both here and abroad, that Fauci signed off on, and projects that are still going on. And that's why one of our priorities for the Trump administration, Trump 2.0, that we're hoping gets implemented, and I know you've been out there advocating for this as well, we need to abolish Fauci's entire division of the NIH. He ran that place for 40 years. He was obviously the highest paid government employee. He had a $6.5 billion annual budget, and he's probably tortured and been responsible for the torture of more animals than any other single person in human history. It is truly shocking. I mean, as you know, he received a pardon, but when you receive a pardon, I know a little bit about this, you cannot plead the Fifth Amendment in any government proceeding or legislative proceeding if the government wants to question you. What else can be done to hold Dr. Fauci for his horrific record?
Yeah, I think, that's a great question, Roger. First, I think we do it to abolish NIAID, his division at the NIH, and start from scratch there. There's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse happening, and we need to get rid of it, take his fingerprints off that place. We need to defund gain of function. There was a Wall Street Journal story that came out this week indicating that the Trump administration is preparing an executive order to cut funding for or restrict gain of function research in some way. That's great, huge. We're thrilled about that. We need to defund animal labs in China. We're still shipping a lot of money to Chinese, unaccountable Chinese animal labs. We're going to defund, we need to defund these dog and cat labs that Fauci set in motion when he was still there. And we need to stop the expansion of some of these bio labs in the United States that he funded. We're actually paying right now, taxpayers are paying right now for a new laboratory at Colorado State University where they're going to import hundreds of bats. This is a project Fauci funded. They're going to import hundreds of bats from Asia into the United States and build a new bat lab in Colorado to do experiments with these bats, infectious disease experiments with diseases for which there is no cure, like the Nipah virus, like Ebola, more coronavirus experiments. So we need to just cut this reckless spending that's, caused a pandemic, one pandemic already, butchered a lot of puppies, and it's going to cause another outbreak if we don't do something about it.
If you're just tuning in, folks, we're talking to Jim Goodman. Justin Goodman, pardon me. He is the Senior Vice President for Advocacy and Public Policy at the White Coast Waste Project, a nonprofit that is fighting the federal government over their inhumane and truly sick, quote-unquote, scientific experiments on helpless animals. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back with more of Justin Goodman.
Now, it's time for Protecting Your Future, sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. Here's Roger Stone.
In these turbulent times, with our debt completely out of control and not sustainable in the long term, with the government just printing money like it's going out of style without that money being backed by anything other than paper, well, now is the time to protect your retirement, your nest egg, your IRA, or your 401k. And the best way to do that is by acquiring precious metals like gold and silver. The people that I trust are the folks at Colonial Metals Group, and you can contact them at colonialmetalsgroup.com/stone. That's colonialmetalsgroup.com/stone, or go to freegoldguide.com. They'll answer all your questions and show you how you can protect your future by acquiring gold and silver. Do it today. You'll be glad you did.
This is the Roger Stone Show.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
This episode is brought to you by Chevrolet. Chevy certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Let us do the work. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit Chevrolet.com/service to learn more.
ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track. And ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
We off? 30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes.
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree.
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet.
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump.
They went after a guy named Roger Stone, who's sitting in the office. And I'll say this in front of Roger, he's no baby. And right now, he's cleaner than anybody in this place. No, they treated him very unfairly.
All of these presidents relied on one man to secure their seat in the Oval Office. That man is Roger Stone.
Roger Stone.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group. Now, here's Roger Stone.
Thanks for joining us. If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Justin Goodman, the Senior Vice President for Advocacy and Public Policy at the White Coast Waste Project. He has been leading the charge to stop the federal government's inhumane and cruel scientific experiments on helpless animals, dogs, cats, primates, and other animals. Justin is an accomplished individual with co-authored extensive peer-reviewed research on ethical, scientific, and regulatory issues related to animal testing. He received his bachelor's and his master's degree in my home state at the University of Connecticut and has been in the trenches fighting this successful fight. Justin, this cannot be done alone. President Trump has been a great champion. You mentioned Congressman Matt Gaetz, my friend, but who else has been in the forefront of this important fight?
Yeah, we're really lucky to have a lot of influential and smart supporters, both across the country, just grassroots folks. We have 3 million members across the country, animal lovers, liberty lovers, folks who care about wasteful spending and animal welfare and don't want to see animals tortured with their money. But we've gotten support from the first family, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Laura Trump are all supporters of our organization and have helped us score wins and expose abuses in taxpayer-funded animal labs, both in the United States and China, elsewhere. For a long time, we've been working very closely with Senator Joni Ernst, who's now the chair of the Senate Doge Caucus, Senator Rand Paul. We work with him every year on his Festivus Waste Report that he releases right around Christmas. This year, he included a bunch of experiments on cats that we had exposed, $15 million worth of experiments on cats that we exposed, including COVID infection experiments on kittens that Fauci set into motion when he was still at the NIH, where they're just infecting kittens with COVID and killing them after a few days. And another project where they're doing constipation cats experiments at the DOD that have cost $10 million. So Rand Paul, Joni Ernst, the first family, obviously, as you mentioned, Congressman Matt Gaetz, and just hundreds of members of Congress. GOP conference chairwoman Lisa McClain has been leading a bill with us for a few years to cut funding for animal labs in China and Russia and other places. So we're very proud and grateful for all the support from these folks who have made cutting wasteful spending on animal testing a priority. And of course, you were at the ground level with us when we really launched in 2016, right in conjunction with the first Trump administration, and we're able to score a lot of major wins. I think people don't really appreciate that. We made historic progress. You helped us get this stuff on Trump's radar, and we made historic progress during that first administration, doing things that no other administration in history had ever done. The Trump administration did more to end animal testing than any other administration in the history of this country, and that's not exaggeration. There's the receipts to show, from ending, the VA's heart attack tests on puppies, that not only did the VA halt under Trump, but he signed a law cutting the funding. shut down the government's largest cat lab, shut down the nicotine testing on monkeys at the FDA and sent them to a sanctuary in Florida, first time that ever happened. And of course, his EPA chief, Andrew Wheeler, put a historic plan in place to eliminate the poisoning of puppies with pesticides and other animal testing at the EPA. He put in a phase-out plan in 2019 that said by 2035, we're going to get rid of all of the animal testing at the EPA. Unfortunately, literally just a few weeks after Trump left office in 2021, the Biden administration, due to pressure from environmental groups, completely killed the plan to end animal testing at the EPA. So one of our priorities for the new administration is putting that plan back in place, and we're working with former Trump's EPA administrator, Andrew Wheeler, to make that happen.
Now, of course, you don't get any government funding. You're privately funded. It's a nonprofit. Tell my listeners how they can get in this fight. How can they help?
Thanks for that opportunity, Roger. Yeah, we are entirely funded by grassroots donors. We don't take any government money. We didn't take COVID bailout money like a lot of the big established animal rights groups took millions in COVID bailout money. We didn't take a penny of it. We walk the walk and we talk the talk, and we don't want the government's money. You can follow us, share our content at White Coat Waste on all the social media platforms. Follow me at Justin R. Goodman on Twitter, but at White Coat Waste on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you get your information, and visit our website, whitecoatwaste.org. And on there, you can join our mailing list, and then you can get involved, start contacting Congress. We have lots of petitions where it'll send a message from you directly to your members of Congress in the House and the Senate. Some other ones will send messages to the White House letting them know you don't want your taxpayer dollars being wasted to torture puppies and kittens in wasteful experiments.
Folks, if you love the animals as Jesus did, you need to get in this fight. So please go to those various websites and find the White Coast Waste Project on social media and join us in this important fight. Of all the things I've done in a 45-year career in American politics, there's nothing that I am prouder of than standing up for defenseless animals. I want to thank Justin Goodman, the Senior Vice President of Advocacy and Public Policy for the White Coast Waste Project, for joining us here today. And Justin, I want to invite you back to keep us posted on the progress, and when citizens need to step up, when they need to contact their legislators, when they need to contact their senators and their congressmen, when they need to take direct action. The door is always open here at the Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Audio Network. God bless you.
Thanks, Roger.